Saturday night, you and some friends are meeting up for dinner and checking out some jazz entertainment. You're enjoying the evening. You're still ordering drinks. All of a sudden, they say, yo, y'all have to go. Y'all taking way too long. That actually happened to a group of black folks eating at a restaurant called Dove Coat in downtown Orlando. The manager, Kyle Tasered, called the cops on a party of five to have them removed. Another patron left a review on Google and said they were told the cops were called because the black folks refused to pay their $600 bill, which actually had been paid. Yeah, straight up. Now, pull a video up, y'all. I need to hear the audio.
I'm just letting you know, I mean, it is what it is. We can't really do once they want to because it's private property, but...
Guys, I don't understand.
Completely understand, but to let you know that we haven't done anything other than sit here, enjoy our meal, pay whatever is due,
You're good.
and just have a good evening.
I got you, I don't blame you.
He's not our drinks were coming over.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Okay.
They said that they canceled the drinks, so you don't have to pay for any of that, but they canceled the order, so there's nothing more, like, the thing that y'all are owed that's outstanding. So they said they canceled.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, what I would do, if I were you guys, I would bring it higher to him. Just call on Monday, or what is tomorrow? It's probably Sunday, he might not have a manager. Call on Monday and go higher than him. That's what I would do, because they want you trespass right now, and it's better to honestly leave before it's on paper, then you can't ever come back. Don't know if you ever would.
We'll never come back.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. But I would call and ask for like a manager.
And I get it.
Go ahead and trespass. Well, trespass me because I don't want to come back, but I want to have that documentation of what they've done.
I'll see if they want to help me.
Everybody else just enjoying the meal? Does that make any sense?
But either way, we can
I thought go ahead and trespass me because I want to have it on documentation because I will take this a little bit further than what we're dealing with right here.
Well, even if
Everybody else don't have to be.
But even if we don't get it on paper, I'll give you the case number. And if you guys want to get this pulled, it's public record. That instead of getting it on paper and all that, because then that goes into like city records and stuff.
Really going higher is his dad.
You what?
Going higher is his
No,
dad.
I'll take it. I mean, I'll deal with everybody.
No. My thing is that I'm in good with the mayor's office. Everything else, there's a lot of volunteer stuff that I do. He doesn't understand the position that I have and what he's done. I will definitely bring this up very quickly.
So whatever footage you have,
Bring any enforcement action out.
Right.
That's your best way to go about it.
And I always tell people
He didn't
too.
even try to come talk to us. He said, if you don't leave, we're going to call the cops. And again, that is weaponized. Again, come on, in this day and age, it truly is weaponized. The cops.
Honestly, that's really good. Have you been recording like since you...
All right, folks, joining us right now is Leon Gant and Stephanie Tolbert. Both of them were two of those folks kicked out. Glad to have both of you on the show. First off, Leon and Stephanie, so how many of y'all were actually at the restaurant?
There were 5 of us, Roland. Leon and his wife, Heather, and Kevin Ballinger and his wife, Kendra, and then myself. And I made this reservation about a month ago on Open Table, and I did it because this group, Take 5, was going to be there, and that's how I found the venue. And nowhere on the Open Table site, nowhere on the restaurant site was there any notification or documentation of a time limit on how long we could dine. And so we were never told that when the hostess took us to our table, when the waiter took our order, we were never given any kind of timeline. So this was just a surprise.
So they claim there was a time limit.
Roland, we were never given any type of timeline.
No. I'm saying this. I'm just trying to understand. Are they claiming that there's a time limit for each table?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So have you seen that was it on the door? Was it on a stand at check-in? Was it on the menu? So was it posted anywhere that there was a so-called time limit?
No, sir. No time limit. Not posted, not told to us.
Gotcha. How long were y'all there?
For the time where they first started to come and try to usher us out, maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half.
Okay. So this restaurant y'all were at, they had live entertainment?
Yes, sir.
So
Nice.
typically, I mean, I've been to a lot of places where they actually have live entertainment. And when they do, you're like there for a while. You're like 2.5, 3 hours because of live entertainment.
Right.
This, I am perplexed. Now, we did reach out to the owner, and we sent them an email. Carol, the owner is Rob. That's who this is? Okay, so he said, Ms. Gant, can you please provide me with the name and phone numbers of the guests who were part of this group from Saturday night? The two gentlemen in the video in particular, I would like to call them personally to understand what happened and have a cordial, polite conversation to discuss their concerns. Thank you for your consideration. So that's what he sent to us. Had y'all heard from him?
Not at all.
Not at all.
What communication have y'all had with, has anyone contacted the owner?
No. The only contact we had was with the owner's son, and he was the one who led the charge in getting us escorted out by the police.
So were y'all actually escorted out?
Well, I can tell you this, Roland. The police were very cordial. They were very nice. They even said to us that we will walk out first so that it doesn't seem like we are escorting you out. However, because this is a private organization, we had to leave. But they were very nice. They said that we will walk out first so it doesn't seem like we are actually escorting you out.
I'm just, I mean, again, and let me be real. Look. I know of some restaurants that are extremely busy, where they have reservations, and they flip those tables. And I know some places, like I say, that are highly successful restaurants that actually do this. But what's crazy to me is for a manager to say this, and you literally have it nowhere posted anywhere, and it seems as if you just sort of made it up. And the other thing is this here. There are date stamps on receipts. When those waiters put orders in, there's a time stamp on it. So y'all are able to show from the moment an order was placed and to when you get your receipt, how long you were there.
Yes.
What's your plan going forward?
I can tell you this. First of all, it's an honor being on your show. So thank you very much for covering this. What I have done, I reached out to some of the contacts that I have here in Orlando, and they're giving me a list of attorneys that I'm going to contact. I also have some connections into the mayor's office, and I know of one very good friend who's in charge of the discrimination department for Orlando. I've already sent her an email. I'm sure she's going to get back to me tonight. But for me, the end result is I would like a formal apology, number one. I would like our money returned. And then, because I have my mom here, and I was talking to my mom about, again, she grew up in Alabama and Jim Crow, and explaining this to her. And she was like, you know what? They really just tried to take your dignity. So what is the price of your dignity? And really, there is no price on that. But I truly, I want to make it painful for them. For, again, you're talking about 5 professionals, 4 of them Black, successful, and just that humiliation, embarrassment. And later we found out that manager's son went around and told everybody that we were being escorted out because we couldn't pay our bill. So
Wow.
Yeah.
It was just very humiliating, Roland. I mean, at the end of the day, when we walked out to wait for the valet for the car, there was another family that had been approached by the event coordinator that they needed to leave as well. And we didn't get them on camera, but So this isn't something that was just isolated to us. There were some other Black families that were impacted, and they were celebrating their dad, the husband's birthday. It was just no excuse.
Again, we deal with these stories all the time. And unfortunately, this is what I always say, it is the reality of what it means to be Black in America. Keep us apprised of this case and what happens next. And Carol, my producer, will be sure to forward y'all Rob's email and phone number, the owner, so y'all can have that conversation.
Awesome. Roland, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so very much. You know, Renita, this is, I mean, we do these stories all the time. And it's just, and this is what people don't understand. It's hard being Black in this country, and you just trying to go enjoy a meal and some damn jazz, and you still got to deal with some BS.
Absolutely. The point you're making is the point that everybody should see from this, which is that Black people in society always have to be on guard. You can't even just go out to dinner and enjoy jazz music because you run the risk of being put out of a restaurant because you are Black. This also makes the point of why Black media is so important. I'm glad you're covering this story because I have not seen this covered by any other news outlet. And if it were not for this show, I think a lot of people would not be even aware that this had happened. And you heard the two, the folks who you were just interviewing, they said that another Black family was put out. So this is like a pattern. I think kudos to the police. They handled the situation exactly the way that they should have. They did not escalate. They understood that, you know, they should not have been called out for this. And they tried to keep things very fair, giving them the opportunity to make sure that they were not even embarrassed by this incident. And so I think that, you know, the point you made earlier about with there being live music, when you have live music, that encourages people to sort of hang around, and that turns your restaurant into a little bit of a hangout place. And so nothing about this story really makes any sense as to why they were asked to leave, because typically restaurants that have a time limit of how long you can stay, they tell you that up front when you make the reservation. They tell you that when you sit down. And as you heard from the guests, they said that they were not informed of any of that, and we know why they were asked to leave.
Congo.
This is going to escalate for many reasons, but one of the things that I'm thinking, because it's Florida and what's going on in the country, like the brother said to the cops, in this day and age, this is what you're doing. This is, you know, Ron DeSantis stand, right? And people are going to take advantage of this to add to their propaganda machine. They're going to say, oh, we're pro-police, we're pro, you know, they're going to take this to a level that it doesn't need to go to because they have nothing else to stand on. And that's why it's really important that we are covering this, because they're going to need our support. That media machine, those politicians down there, I'm assuming that the owners of this restaurant are kind of well connected with these types of people to feel like they can get away with something like this. So yeah, I applaud the police, but I also applaud that group of 5 people in keeping their calm in situations like that, because like you said, being Black every day in America, we deal with so much, and sometimes we just had it, and we know what the consequences can be, but it's just too much. And so they kept their composure in that particular situation. I'm very happy that the right cops showed up. Cops with de-escalation training, kept their hands on their, vest the entire time, because all it could have taken, I think there were about 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 cops there rolling. All it could have taken was one wrong cop, and we could have had a situation just like we were talking about in the Alabama story at the beginning of the show. And so I'm grateful on all of those fronts, but we shouldn't have to just be grateful for that.
You know what, Julian, there's some people, I see the comments, they're like, well, why we always be the calm one? But see, this is one of those situations why you sit there and you say, you know what, we're going to be real calm because y'all ass is going to be cutting a check.
You know, I have a notoriously bad temper. And
no, really?
Yeah, really. And so I was talking with my therapist actually, it was about a year ago, because something occurred on my campus and I kept my cool. And because she said, when you go off on people, you become the story. When you walk away, they become the story. And actually, one of my colleagues asked me at a brunch if I ordered the fried chicken. And I was about that far from going off. Instead, I was just like, do you know that the provost's office ordered the food? Then the food comes back with, but I saw you eating fried chicken. So I just put my hand up and walked away. But then when I was coming to Congressional Black Caucus, it was right before caucus, I was on the red eye and I was crying. I mean, I wasn't crying, sobbing, but tears were rolling down my face. And I said to myself, girl, what's going on? Went and looked in the mirror and said, you mad because you didn't go off on that Maryland farmer. So I ended up coming to my house in D.C. and writing that fool an 800-word memo that tore him about 5 new ones. I said, who are you? Buzzy Zoller, and I'm Tiger Woods. Dr. Meyer says, when people tell you who they are, believe them. Oh, I went on. It was vintage. That was on a Wednesday. He quit on Friday. In the middle, HR had called. Everybody had called. But I don't like being the calm one, but sometimes the calm one is much more effective. So this brother, those 2 that you interviewed, they were perfect. But these are Black professionals who are used to going out on the town, listening to some music and just kicking back. I've been to restaurants that have a time limit, but they tell you when you sit down, the next seating is at 8 o'clock, which is y'all got to be up out of here in a few, by 7:45. But they tell you, you don't just pull that like a rabbit out of a hat when you think there are too many Black people in the restaurant that day. I hope the brother, and I like the way he's going about it, very orderly. I hope that he sues. I hope that he gets, here's something ironic though, Roland, real quick. This very restaurant, they tried to shut them down a couple years ago, and they filed for discrimination with the city. They said they had been discriminated against when, for some reason, some zoning reason, they were trying to be shut down. So they know discrimination. They've experienced it, and they have chosen to practice it. And not only shame on them, but with anybody in Orlando, don't go there no more. This is a perfect boycott opportunity.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, and this is one of those things, and let me remind people, y'all have heard me quote this on many occasions. If people would actually go back and read or listen to Dr. King's speech on April 3rd, 1968 at Mason Temple, Dr. King said point blank, we are not going to patronize places that do not respect us. And remember, Dr. King also said, remember he said, Jesse, what did you call it? We're going to redistribute the pain. So everybody who's listening, I want you to understand what that phrase, redistribute the pain. So for the Black folks who were sitting at that table, who had to suffer the indignity, when you hit them in their pocketbook, and then when you tell other Black folks, don't show up here, and then when you force them to apologize, you have now redistributed the pain. So to Julian's point, we talk about lashing out. I get lashing out. I get when you're angry and you're ticked off and you want to jack somebody up. But there are also other times when you sit there and go, y'all don't worry about it, we good, because y'all ass is gonna be paying. Mm-hmm. See, it's real simple. I've dealt with crazy folks at airlines who acted a fool and who get smart with me, like the white woman in Las Vegas at the United Airlines counter, who said, oh, please call the CEO's office. I was like, oh, boo, trust me. I said, oh, boo, trust me. You will be hearing from the CEO's office when I get done with you. Now, I could have showed my ass, but I wanted her to understand, oh, no. You keep typing on your little computer there, whatever little report you typing up. Trust me, there's going to be a problem on your end when I'm done. Absolutely. And so what's the name of this restaurant again? Let me see. Hold up. What is it again?
Dove
Cote.
I wrote it down. Yep, Dove Cote.
Dove Cote. So Dove Cote. So if you're in Orlando, I see no reason why you should drop by Dove Cote until Rob. So what's his name? Rob, Bob. What's his name, Carol? Okay, so this is what I want here. So Rob, I know you watching. So Rob, you're gonna need to meet with the 5 of them, and y'all gonna have to come to an agreement. And then Rob, my advice, you're gonna need to come on this show to also explain to Black folks then how you gonna fix this problem, how you gonna deal with your son. Because frankly, Rob, if we break this down and the waitress and everybody else start talking, Your son should not be managing anywhere near that restaurant. And you need to be dealing with your son in some serious classes on how to actually be a manager. So I can't wait to see what happens next, and we'll be looking forward to it. Neil Hughley posted this video. This white man, I think is in Oregon, who literally is menacing this sister. He is constantly on her door. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Video is saving. Here we go. All right. Let me see if I can now transfer this video over. I mean, these things are happening, and these people, I mean, they are literally acting a fool. Okay. Here we go. Airdrop it. And I'm gonna show y'all this video here. And again, this is just a black woman who's just trying to live where she lives. And this fool, he decides to just do this constantly. Go hit play.
I'll fucking rape your daughter, bitch. Call the cops, bitch. I'm about to get murdered. Nigger bitch. You should get whipped again. Just enslave him. Let's enslave him without the cops. I'm about to get murdered.
So Tehran, this racist threatened to murder her, threatened to rape her daughter. He's brandishing a knife, making stabbing motions. This took place in Gresham, Oregon. This took place over a week. As a matter of fact, it took the cops a week after seeing the video to arrest the guy. And apparently the woman was told that it's just menacing, so he is going to be released soon. See, this right here, Tehran, is when a group of bros pay a visit.
I was getting ready to say that. You know what, man? I don't know if this lady, does she have any uncles or does she have any brothers? Because I'm telling you right now, if that had been somebody in my family, we'd have got 4 deep and sat in front of the door and waited just for him to show up, and then we're going to open the door, and then we're going to have a conversation. Let's just say it like that. Back to the other point about that is, you know, back to the other point, like that other lady who was attacking that sister, man. I wonder sometimes if people are dealing with some form of self-hate, and they feel like because their situation is the way it is, they find somebody who they think is better than them, who they really think is better than them, but they flip it to thinking that there's somebody beneath them, and then they try to attack these people. Because look, man, why would you? It's got to be privilege, and it's got to be some form of extreme hubris to risk your freedom and your life to try to disrupt somebody's life in that way. Yeah, man, that dude, I don't know what he's on, and I don't care what he's on, but that would have got dealt with quick, man. If that would have better been my people. My people from Florida, we don't play that. And
But Rebecca, again, I really believe in their minds, we're going to get away with it because we white.
Right, they're not in their minds. They're not risking their freedom. They're not disrupting people. They're in their minds. They're doing what is rightful for them, what they should do. In their minds, it's us. It's the Black people in this country that are in the wrong by simply our presence. I mean, looking at that dude, I'm like, what in the unwashed legs and feet? I mean, I think about my male relatives and my male friends. There is no way. Like that, and here's the other thing. I hope that woman sues. It looks like it was an apartment complex, because at the point that they knew that she was being terrorized by her neighbor, they should have provided ample security. They could have even said that this is against the other tenant's lease by being menacing or criminal activity or mischievous activity. There's something in that lease where they could even they should be able to even kick them out of that apartment complex. But if I was her, I would definitely be suing as well as filing a complaint with the local police department with why does it take a week to actually respond and do something like this, and I also hope for her sake she moves, because it is not safe and she needs to call all of her male relatives over.
I'm telling you, Scott, this is where we got 5 chairs sitting outside his door looking like this here.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, I wouldn't really call the police if that happened to me or my sister.
Well, first of all, remember, it's Gresham, Oregon. So her family probably not in Oregon.
Yeah, probably. You're right about that. But I'm telling you, I got some cats. There's always a Black community within 5 miles of where she lived.
Hey, this sister need to throw a hat in the air. She need to throw a hat in the air.
Hey, it was my sister. It was my sister. My sister would have opened the door, came out there with her butcher knife or her frying pan and beat his ass. That's what she would have done. She wouldn't have waited on the police. She would, and then what my sister would do is what Rebecca said. She'd sue the complex for failure to keep her safe, for failure to provide sufficient security to keep her free from being threatened by white racists. It's just a trip, man. I'm going to keep saying this, Roland. The melanin in my skin, it make them go crazy, man. It make them go crazy.
They going to get that ass whooped. I'm letting y'all know. All right, y'all. I'm saying, I mean, they keep
You cannot promote violence on this program, and you do it regularly. I've been meaning to tell you that. You promote violence.
That's self-defense.
No, I don't.
That's not violence. That's not violence.
Yes,
That's self-defense.
No, if you show up to my house doing that and saying that stupid stuff like that, if I open up the door and 5 Rottweilers come out at you, then that's your fault. You shouldn't be that close to my door.
Well, I didn't say you couldn't do that. I just said you couldn't.
Hey, call me so I can do this and put it up on the internet all day and stuff when it happens.
Black people always trying to kick somebody's ass. We got to stop that, man. We got to stop that unless it's ultimately necessary. Unless it's really ultimately, it's a last resort, kicking somebody's ass, man. We gotta get out of that mentality.
Now, what's that? Now look at that lady, man. What is she gonna do when she's sitting in the county and locked up in Big Shirley want to watch a movie? What's she gonna do? She gonna push back on her? What's gonna happen then? Who's she gonna fight?
Well, she gotta keep him. She never should have let him leave the apartment. My sister would have just kept him and tortured his ass.
Nah, that's just crazy.
You wouldn't find the evidence anywhere. The evidence. I thought it was 5 years. Oh God! Here we go.
There we go.
Promoting violence. You wrong about that, Roland.
No, Scott.
You wrong about that.
Promoting violence.
Look here, man.
We're recognizing Black history. We're recognizing Black history. There was a Black man who invented that chair.
Exactly. Every last one of her relatives should have been sitting out in front of her front step when that dude pulled up and be like, "What's up?"
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
They should all come from Atlanta and Detroit and just sit out.
Now, all Black people, if any of y'all got a racist who rolls up on your door like that, call Robert.
Oh, yes.
Call Robert and all the guns that he got.
Trust
me, you're gonna have some tough white racists who gonna get real meek and quiet real fast. All right, y'all.
He come to Oregon for free. Travel with us.
Right. That's gonna be road trip. All right, y'all. I gotta go to a break. in a museum in Kansas City, Missouri, just walking around with his 2 children, trying to enjoy the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, exposed them to different things and said the young kids were exposed to being followed by a white man. Watch this.
I think they're building a boat. Oh, I got you. I think they're building a boat. They're building a boat. This is old tombs, so people used to be buried in them tombs in there. See, like people be inside of there, they be buried. This is their tombs. This is their grave site. So there. Yeah, people will be buried in those. In their grave womb, you know, it's a tomb or whatever. Are you about to follow us the whole time, man? Are you about to follow us the whole time?
Sir, I'm just making...
I'm asking, I asked you a question. I didn't say nothing else. Are you about to follow me the whole time? Because if you're going to follow me the whole time, then give us a goddamn tour. I know how to control my kids. You asked me to make sure they don't run. I'm not going to do that. I said I know how to control my kids. You asked me not to make sure that they don't run. I won't do that. Now, if you're going to follow me the whole time, then give me a tour. Make it worth my while. Then otherwise, stop following me. I'm trying to enjoy the museum with my kids. Are you following anybody else that got kids? Because I'm not the only one here with kids. Are you following anybody else? Are you not going to argue with me? Because it do you no good. Because I haven't done anything. You roll your eyes all you want to. You look like a little girl. Tighten up, man. Tighten up. Like I said, if you're going to keep following me, go get your manager. Because like I said, it's all on film. It came when you first approached me to when you still been following me. And now that I had questioned you, it's still on film. It's going to look like you being racist to a black man with his 2 children at the museum.
I'm not trying
because you're not over there following them. You're not following them. You're not following them. They have a child too. They have a small child too. So, no, there ain't no excuse. Either you're being because I'm a man or you're doing it because I'm a black man. It's in both ways, you're being different.
I didn't do it that way.
Okay, so are you about to give me a tour? Are you about to give me a tour?
I can talk to you about some of the
No.
art if you'd like, sir.
If you're going to follow me around, then you better give me a tour. Otherwise, stop following me.
Sir,
Plain and simple.
I'm hired here to keep track.
Okay, but if you follow me one more time, I'm going to get your manager. So stop following me. Let's go.
Randy told his ass, tighten up.
And I love that he called his little butt out. And I love that my favorite line was when he said, if you're going to follow me, can you at least give us a tour? Make him uncomfortable instead of being uncomfortable. You have this father trying to educate his children and being harassed. It's absolutely unacceptable. When I was doing DEI work, I have trained 2 museums about this because museums at one point were seen as this hoity-toity only for certain types of people. And now that museums are trying to bring in all people, and because they are for all people, they have had to train the staff on how to ensure that you're not acting in this way and being discriminatory.
I got a kick out of that one, Mustafa. My man was like, hey, you gonna give us a tour?
He said exactly the right thing. He's like, if you're going to take up my time, you're going to be in my space, then make yourself, utilized in a positive way. The reality of the situation is that there are still some who do not see the value in our participation, whether it's in a museum or a number of other locations. They don't feel that those are places for us. And we have to continue to push back. We have to continue, like this brother did, to call it out. But we also got to take it a step further, because I appreciate what he said, I'm going to talk to your manager, or I'm going to talk to the curator of the museum, because they need to know about this type of behavior so that they, as an institution, are also held accountable.
There's one thing I cannot stand, Joe, is that following me around crap. Oh,
yeah, that's not a good look at all. He came out on him and let him know what was what. I got a snicker out of the tighten up thing, for a second there too. But then he got right back where he's supposed to be in the matter at hand. Like, look, listen, hey, it is Missouri, so you can show me. Take me on a tour. You know what I mean? Take me on a tour if you're going to do that. And it looks like, I guess I didn't see it all, but it looks like his kids were pretty okay as well while he was talking to him or whatever else. They seemed like, they were okay. But, the kids are innocent, all right? And this is something they are exploring. They're asking questions. They're finding out things. They're seeing things that they haven't seen before. And the idea that this person would interrupt that in the name of safety, which he obviously connects with familiarity. And to Brother Mustafa's point, it's still this thing that this is yours but not ours, okay? This is ours but not ours. This is mine but not ours. It's really a shame, but I think he called it pretty well. I wonder if he sees him again, if he'd do it the same way.
He's probably going to think twice about it. Folks, if you go to an HBCU game or even a black high school, there's a thing called the fifth quarter, and that's typically when the bands of both schools are playing music, sort of competing against one another. Well, in Alabama, that's what they were doing. And then police said they were trying to clear the stadium. They ordered both of the bands to stop playing music. One of them did, but then one of them did not. This took place on Thursday. Where a high school band director was allegedly tased. He was tased and arrested for refusing to stop playing. Birmingham's minor high school band director, Johnny Mims, was tased by officers and faces disorderly conduct, harassment, and resisting arrest charges for not stopping his band from playing after the game. Johnny Mims and his attorney, Wanda Lynn Govan, join us right now. All right, so glad to have both of you here. So, Johnny, walk us through. Game is over. Bands are playing. Is this common practice for your band and the opposing band?
Hi, Roland. Yes, this is a normal practice for bands, and it's across the country, for bands to get together and play, tunes after the game. A lot of the parents and fans of bands, look forward to the opportunity because there's opportunity to showcase just the bands at that particular time. And we were just doing what is just customary for bands to do around the country.
So how many songs normally are played, and how long do y'all normally play?
It depends. It depends on the two directors of both schools. Usually they'll get together and they'll be communicated ahead of time of how long that would be. A normal song will last no more than maybe 2.5 minutes. I would say 3 minutes is really pushing it. And just in this case, again, both directors got together and said, hey, we're going to do play a couple extra tunes after the game. We're just going to do 3 tunes because, of course, it's Thursday night and we wanted to get our kids home because we did have, a school following day. But that's the thing that the kids look forward to, is that opportunity to showcase what they've been working on all week.
So if you got 3 songs, let's say they go 2.5, 3 minutes each, 2 bands, we're talking a total of 18 minutes. How many songs had y'all played when the cops then approached you and said, stop playing music?
We both the other school and our school had at least, both schools had already played at least 2 tunes. So
y'all just had 1 song left?
We only have 1 song left.
Okay, so the police say they were trying to clear the stadium. Was that happening? And again, is this common practice? Did anybody communicate with them? Or so how did this thing escalate to you being tased?
Again, those particular things I can't, speculate on. I know, typically the football teams, usually the fifth quarters that happen when both football teams are usually on the field. We have those opportunities for those teams to get together. They'll usually pray or they'll kind of go over, some of the logistics or celebrate. And usually that's when the fifth quarter is happening. So you still have bodies in the stadium. You still had audience on both sides of the stadium that was listening to both bands. And so I'm not sure where, what the concern was about clearing out the stadium. But again, we were just doing what we customary do. We traveled from our school over to that school to, to perform, and both bands have been looking forward to, the opportunity to play against each other. And again, just provide good music. I mean, we work very, very hard. And so that's an opportunity for us to do those things.
All right, so again, this thing it escalates and then you get tased. Now, the other band, I saw a story where they said the other band stopped playing. Was that actually the case?
Now, I can't of course, speculate it because the other band was on the other side of the field. Of course, my back was to that band. So once we heard the music, stop, at that point, we thinking that they're done with their song, and then we're proceeding to play our final song. And so I can't speculate what happened on the side because, of course, they were all the way on the other side of the field, and my back was turned to the other school.
So what is interesting here, again, just how this thing just sort of escalated. And so I'm still trying to understand. So walk me through. You're directing the band. How many cops approach you? What are they saying to you? Do they physically grab you off the bandstand? I mean, what happens? We've seen that we showed a video a little bit earlier, was played again, where it was not really clear what happened here. So what happened?
So again, both bands were trading tunes. Once we get a second song, the other band started playing, and then that's when we had a officer come up and say, "Hey, you guys need to leave." And again, that was communicated to my assistant director. By this time, I was up on the podium, which you can see in the video. When you see it, you'll see the podium right there in front, which is separated from where the students are, so that I can get up and see all of our students. And so, we were proceeding to go on and play our third song, as agreed upon by both of the directors from both schools, as we customarily do. So, we were told that we need to leave, and as we communicated, say, hey, this is our final song. We'll be leaving after that point, and that and if anything, that further allowed them to be able to clear out the stadium more as we get ready to come out of the stadium. And again, I was on the podium conducting their group before we can even get to the end of the song, which the officer at that time was pretty much yelling over the stand. As we were ready trying to cut off that last song, they cut the lights off us, and so as I was telling I'm a dark-skinned guy, and so if you cut the lights off, it's going to be very difficult for me to cue the students on how to cut off, for the song, because again, they can't see me. And by this time, officer was already coming up the podium to pull me down off the podium. And again, I was pretty much confused at this time, like, hey, what did I do? Like, what am I, what's the problem? What is going on? And remember, all this is happening in front of 145 students and parents, and countless other fans, again, who customarily see this happening. And so my logistics of everything, and to me, I still don't understand today why it should have escalated, because again, none of the songs we play along, that's something that the school that we attended, that's something they do on a weekend, on every week. And so I'm not sure why it escalated to the point it was. And again, my biggest thing was I was just trying as a citizen who does what he's supposed to do. I don't cause any trouble. Was trying to figure out why I was being harassed and pulled off the podium, which could have been a deadly thing, because I could have fell off the podium because it's a couple steps up. So that's was my biggest thing behind it. And I guess I don't know if I'm not what their intentions was about, but I think it's definitely something that should have never happened.
Wanda Lynn, have you communicated with the police, but talk about their actions? Anything like that?
I have been in communication with the city attorney. First of all, thank you for having us on tonight, Roland. But I've been in communication with the city attorney, as well as the Alabama Education Association, parents, students, local pastors. And it's been a very long day, but one of the things that we've been doing, or I attempted to do, was gather as much information. I have asked that these officers and the sergeant, however, be placed on administrative leave, because regardless of what may have happened to begin this initiated this process, my client did absolutely nothing that would have warranted him being tased, treated like a dog in front of his students. One of the captions today, Roland, just from AL.com, one of the local newspapers here, simply read, "In front of the students." In front of the students. I think it's deplorable, especially with us coming off the heels of the Tyree Nichols situation, to see how he was tased by officers just right up the street in Memphis, Tennessee. But I think this is a situation in which the officers, first of all, should never have approached my client. They should never engage in home rule with regards to the field of play or with the bands. That's number one. It was out of their authority to do so, to cut the lights off at the stadium while fans were present, while family members or families, as well as the students was there. And I just couldn't even imagine being in that situation on last Thursday. I feel that my client's rights have been violated, and we're going to pursue further actions against the city of Birmingham. But I do believe that these officers should be placed on administrative leave effective immediately.
But is there a standard procedure, for this? So, for instance, you have athletic leagues that regulate games along those lines. I mean, how do you make sure that this doesn't happen again? That way you leave it up to an officer. So I understand band directors making making a decision, communicating beforehand. But to me, if this is common practice, it should be established that just like the game is 4 quarters, if you're going to have this, it should be established that after the game, the bands are going to engage in 3 songs each. It won't last total more than 20 minutes. That way you don't have these subjective decisions by these cops. Are you going to propose that be clearly stipulated by the school district?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because the band directors had already communicated in this instance, number one. They had already made the decision to have the fifth quarter. But my concern, Roland, is the actions of the officers, the excessiveness of the process. They should have been in a position on last Thursday to bring about a point of de-escalation. This right here was an overreach by those officers to purposely handcuff my client, tase him multiple times, basically throwing him to the ground. He ultimately ended up at the hospital. This was a matter of the police officers and the police force of Birmingham overstepping their bounds. This has never happened before, and it never should have happened this time, but I wholeheartedly agree with you. There should be standards that are written and put in place, but I am more concerned about the violation of home rule. There was no life, limb, or anything in jeopardy with regards to public safety. This is bad policing 101 here in the city of Birmingham, which has one of the highest crime rates, murder rates in the country. We just lost a Birmingham firefighter who was killed in the line of duty at the fire station. They've not yet identified the person who's killed them. Every day, Birmingham has 3 or 4 murders per day. Here now, it's become such a common thing that the mayor doesn't even speak on it anymore. Nobody even talks about it. But yet you would take this man, a learned professional in his craft, and basically tase him to the ground, and to the point he has to be taken to the police officer. It is an embarrassment to the sport. It's an embarrassment to those who participate in the craft of being in the bands. We all know that's what the fans come to the game for most of the time, to hear the music, to see the kids, or whether it's on the collegiate level or what have you. But this instance right here, you've seen the video rolling. You've looked at it enough. I will go tomorrow and look at the body cam. But this, regardless of what happened, what are you charging him with? You should charge him with what you first stopped him for, and that's not a part of the charges. And the reason why is there was no justification for it.
All right, then. We follow the case to see what happens next. Wanda Lee and Johnny, we shall appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Folks, Birmingham police have released the body cam footage of the minor high school band director, Johnny Mims, who, when officers tased him for not stopping his band from playing after Thursday night's football game. Check it out.
I did not swing an officer, man. Y'all driving low. I got the truck.
He going to jail because I asked him for respect. No, sir. That's a disrespect. Let me go. How you gonna chase me? How you gonna chase me, It's our own taser. Hold up, someone got my taser. Ain't nobody leaving until I get my taser. Nope, I'm grabbing kids. Hold up, I swear. Ain't nobody leaving. Kids, to the bus. Come on, y'all. Respectfully, I ask y'all to stop. Here you go, right here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man. I ain't believing this. Go that way.
All right, so allow me to unpack this. So yesterday, I talked with Mims and his attorney on yesterday's show. So and this is why I've always said why body cam footage is important. Now, even in the beginning of that video, we couldn't hear most of it because the band was playing. So let me say it maybe real clear. After watching the body cam video, you hear the officers say they're trying to clear the stadium. You can see in the background the other band had left. Now, I talked to some people today in Birmingham. The game took place in a Birmingham city stadium, but it was a game between a Birmingham school district school and a Birmingham county. It was a county school. So Mims apparently was with the county school. This is my problem with what Mims did. Mims' actions exacerbated the problem. On the video, you hear Mims say, "Man, get out my face." Let's be perfectly clear. If you tell a cop, "Man, get out my face," they're likely not going to respond well. That was one. You saw the officers explaining to the assistant, whoever the guy was, the first guy, then it went to the band director. They're literally telling the band director, "We have to clear the stadium." He continues to ignore them. He says, "Get out of my face." You watch the video. They say you are going to get arrested. Mims goes, "Okay." So the cops say, "You gonna get arrested." He goes, "Okay," does it a couple times. He then takes the band higher. They get louder. Now, I do not change my position from what I said yesterday, that the cops should have de-escalated. The brother who was talking to him on the main body camera, the sister who was next to him, who was saying, "We're gonna call the superintendent," this is what they should have said. "Okay, since you're fine getting arrested, we're gonna let you finish. And when you get done directing the band, we're gonna put you under arrest." What they should have done was when the lights got turned off, okay? First of all, they should have kept the lights on. What they should have said is, and then when he went down, what they should have done was, they should have said, "Sir, we told you that if you continue to play, we're going to arrest you. We're now going to arrest you. Please put your hands behind your back." There was no need to pull out tasers or guns or even grab him. See, again, what you do is you talk calmly. You got enough cops. "Sir, you defied police orders. We told you you were going to get arrested, and you said, okay, we're now about to arrest you." So they do that. They don't escalate the situation. Now, in the video, you hear the officer say, "You swung at one of us. he said, well, no, I didn't. Well, the body cam footage, because there are multiple cameras going to say that. This is an example for me, Joe, where two wrongs do not make a right. I totally understand our discussion yesterday, but Principal Mims was wrong to tell the cops multiple times, I think in the video it said 7, man, get out my face. Joe, he was wrong.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I remember speaking to some kids a few years back out of college, and we were talking about how they can survive a police contact. And they took it to mean that they were, we were telling them to be soft and to relent or whatever else. And what I said to them is I said, I'd rather have a discussion with you after you survive the contact than to have a discussion with your parents because you didn't survive the contact. And so, one of the things you have to do, and he has to remember, even Brother Mims here, is that he's got kids watching him, right? And so he's setting an example, for better or for worse, in that, maybe it doesn't cost him his life. Maybe he survives, and he does survive that way. But is it a situation where he is beyond reproach entirely, or where there's enough gray area where basically this is just going to be a bunch of people shouting at the rain in each direction and nothing's going to happen moving forward? Now, he's got a problem. The problem that the police have is that, because fairly or unfairly, in the eyes of many Black folks, the police and people, from an authority standpoint in that regard are working from a deficit anyway, right? And so if they're working for a deficit and if they really think that's unfair, what that means, life is unfair. I tell people all the time, when somebody says something that's unfair, well, is it real? What's really going on is that people will put police in a box and depending on who you are, deservedly so. And so what happens is you have to go above and beyond. The police were never in danger. They had an opportunity to plant goodwill with everybody there, including those young people who may be traumatized by the experience, even if Mr. Mim has some responsibility towards it. And they blew that opportunity. They weren't in any physical danger.
Well, and look, and obviously the principal, he was heightened. This, to me, again, Randy, is where if you're the cops and you see you're dealing with an agitated person, you then don't get agitated as well. But again, seeing the video here, and I'm taking into account the conversation yesterday, the band director was wrong. The band director should not have said, man, get out my face. He was wrong. The band director could have said, officers, can we play for 60 more seconds? No, he didn't do that. He was disrespectful to the officers. He was wrong. But it doesn't mean they also should have tased him.
Right. And police officers are typically called because someone is wrong, because something wrong is happening. And so police officers need to have the skills to be able to deal with those situations in a way that serves everyone the best, and not in a way where their egos become so involved that they forget. I feel like everyone forgot the children that were there, because those kids will never forget what they just witnessed. And it was an opportunity for them to build, the police officers to build some goodwill within the community. I could not help but to think, although the band director was wrong and could have handled it better, my mind goes to, why is he acting this way? Why is this so important to him? Right? And so I just wonder, and as a person who has been at schools where I was in like one of only Black children, and then the absolute reverse, I wonder, because I believe there's so much focus on killing Black joy, right? And that if there's a school up the street that's predominantly white and those bands are able to play a little bit later, but here you have this brother trying to the kids were clearly enjoying what was happening. It was a good activity that keeps them out of trouble. And it always, like, our joy has to be shut down and policed.
But here's the deal, though. Again, Mustafa, first of all, and again, I get it. First of all, I can't tell you what neighborhood the stadium is in. I can't tell you what the conditions are outside. But here's the deal, and I've been to a lot of high school games, and it's very simple. If it's time to go, it's time to go. I get the fifth quarter. I totally get it. I fundamentally believe, and I've asked the question, I have not gotten the answer yet. Does the Birmingham Independent School District have a policy that states once the game is over, we allow the bands to play for a certain amount of time? That's the first question. What is the actual policy once the game is over? Now, I can tell you, when Beyonce's concert was over, they were like, time to leave the stadium. I've been to NFL games, NBA games. All right, folks, game is over. It's time to clear out. Those things actually happen. So to avoid this in the future, the school district, the stadium, must have a clear defined policy that's articulated to everyone in terms of how we respond. If the cops are supposed to clear the stadium as soon as the game is over, maybe they give people 10 minutes to sort of, high five and hug and whatever. But it's time for you to go. I just still believe, I'm a firm believer that how people handle things determines how things end up. This is not me saying the band director had to sit here and kiss the cop's ass, but I'm just telling you right now, if the cops are telling you to do something and your response is, man, get out my face, 7 times, it's about to be a problem.
Well, we saw that it was a problem. So, yeah, there's still unanswered questions, and folks need to know what those are. So, as you stated, there's clarity for folks in the future about what the set of expectations are. But, there are also these other dynamics, and we touched on those. One, when you utilize tasers, you have no idea about what someone's health situations are. They can very easily end a life. The other part of it is, as Randy said and Joe said, these kids are going to be traumatized. They're going to have to carry that now for the rest of their life, and it's going to be much more difficult for them to see law enforcement in a positive way. But the most important part is that you got to use your brain, especially in the society that we currently live in. And when you don't do that, you're going to find yourself in situations that in many instances are not going to be ones that are positive or going to come out in a positive way in relationship to our communities. It never has. Hopefully it will in the future, but in this particular moment, that's not the case. So all the adults who are in that situation should have used their brains and shown a little grace to each other. But the reality is you got to follow what police officers are saying, as long as it's not going to, end up putting you in a dangerous situation.